Good evening, South Brunswick. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting, including date, time, and location, to be posted in the South Brunswick Public Library and the Board Office, filed with the Township Clerk, and communicated to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Deepa Karthik. Mr. Raja Krishnan.
Yeah.
Mr. Ray Keener.
Here.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Present.
Dr. Smith Raj. Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti. Mr. Barry Nathanson.
Here.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Nathanson and seconded by
Mr. Keener.
Mr. Keener. Thank you. Motion passes. At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session, please. Motion by Mrs. Rogers, seconded by Mr. Krishna.
Approve the agenda. Did we do the agenda?
I'm doing that now. I'm doing that now. All in favor? Ayes carry. Let me read the piece to go into executive. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of South Brunswick hereby moves into an executive session in accordance with Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10-4-6 through 10-4-21, to discuss the following: personnel matters, negotiations. Be it further resolved that the discussion conducted in executive session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the matters have been resolved. Formal action may be taken at any meeting. We are now going into executive session. Motion to reconvene. So moved by Mr. Keener. I need a second. Seconded by Mr. Krishna. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are back in session. At this time, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the board minutes of June 9th, executive minutes of June 21st, and the board minutes of June 21st, 2022. I need a motion, please.
Motion.
Moved by Mrs. Rogers.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Nathanson. I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The minutes have been approved. And now on to the report of the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Fetter.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. A bunch of things, but obviously the main one is we start up again on Tuesday, September 6th. This week concluded our new teacher orientation, where we had all of our new staff on site for 4 days, getting trained in various things, responsive classroom, curriculum work, as well as getting to meet and mingle and kind of get cohesive with their schools. They spent time at the schools, they spent time as groups. They did a bus tour. The bus tour is now becoming famous again, where we travel them around the town. It's led by administrators, and they have different buses. There is a Disney Jungle Cruise bus. There is a rock and roll bus. What was the third bus? Suzanne, what's the third bus? Oh, there's a Hawaiian luau bus. You get assigned to your bus, and that's how they do it. So that's a big one, and we had the funniest reaction by one of our new administrators. After the bus, got off the bus, turned to Blair Eisman, who ran the whole show for the 4 days, and said, "This was free?" It's pretty good. So, great time, and Blair's not here tonight. I think she's probably sleeping after the last 4 days. But Blair Eisman did a fantastic job, and we give her thanks, as did all the administrators who worked tirelessly for these 4 days to welcome their new staff. From there, I go to sarcastically wonderful news. Start strong. I know Lisa Rogers would probably love to comment on this, but I'll take it, Lisa. Don't worry, Lisa. Relax. Start Strong is a state assessment that, as of today, is still mandated by the state of New Jersey Department of Education. We did this test last year, and it was done last year at this same time to replace the NJSLA that was not given the year prior. It was discussed all the time as going to be an optional test. Then they decided at some point, and if we read if the newspapers are all correct, without the Board of Ed on board with this particular decision, to mandate it out of the blue. So it is now mandated. I think we're all kind of still hoping that someone waves some magic wand and it doesn't. But as of right now, it is settled. And to tell you the disruption it causes, we're looking to get back into school and kind of reboot after what has been a very challenging period of time. And to give you a really fine example, our high school classes will have met twice and then have to take the tests. That's how they're basically coming back to school. So not really a desire of ours or anyone I've spoken with in the education field, but it is what we have to do, so we will do it. Suzanne is running that show, and we'll be training another one of our administrators, so we have multiple people who understand all that goes into this. Sharon Johnson, our tech in the tech department, helps with this. It's all tech-based. It's all online. And it is what it is. We'll get it done like we always do, but it is not a desired outcome. But we'll do it, of course. One thing we're asking the board to approve tonight, there's a change in the calendar for this year. It is a very, very, very minor change in that what we did is we added a third snow day to the calendar. That's what you'll be approving tonight, is a third snow day. The third snow day would be May 30th. It is the Tuesday following Memorial Day. That would mean we have 3 days built in. The first is April 10th, which is the Monday after the spring break. The next is the Friday before Memorial Day, and the next is a Tuesday after Memorial Day. If we do not use any snow days, those 3 days will be closed for school. The reason, again, as a reminder, why we build in days into the calendar in the middle is we have to nail down a date for graduation because our class size is so large. We have to be in a position to nail down that time. This year, graduation will not be at a normal place. It will be at the RAC Center at Rutgers. So we're excited about a little bit of a change. That change was not what we had predicted. However, due to COVID, another after COVID reaction is many school districts needed larger spaces for graduation, and a large number of districts booked that facility, and it knocked out the days and the times. So we're moving for this year, and we'll consider how this goes and decide what we'll do for next year. But that's all happening. I just want to talk about something that David and I have been talking about, and we're looking to do this year. So I had mentioned it to you before, but David and I just recently talked about it again. The budget is very complex, and the budget is becoming very, the word is not very, but it's becoming more complex. And as we've shared before, we're potentially about to hit a very tough spot if this continues with the cuts from the state. So as a result, what we'd like to do is form a district/community budget committee. That would be inclusive of people from within the district, community members, people that are interested in this. We have no real plan to how to formulate that committee yet, but it would be an administrative committee, and we think it's very important for the community to fully understand what's going on, what options we have, what impact more funding loss has, and we'd like to get out in front of it with our community.
Staffing impact on facility. If you wanted to mention something.
Yeah. Give you another example of some things we're dealing with right now, post-COVID. So as you've heard, staffing is a problem, right? We know that. If you read any report, staffing in education is a problem. But it's not just education. It's certain types of jobs. Cannot fill jobs. For us right now, we are very challenged in filling all of our custodial positions. We are down, how did we do today, Kim? We had a job fair today for custodians.
We were down 10.
Still down 10. So we start the year down 10 positions. That's 10%. That's a lot. It's hard to be down 10% when you talk about the job that these great people do for us. As a result, there's a direct impact on something the community, not even only our community, but people use our facilities. They rent our facilities. It's very hard for us to manage those rentals without a staff. These are rentals that are coming in the after school hours, on weekends. It's very difficult. Now, we've scheduled what we have. So people have scheduled, they're fine. If you've been approved, you're fine. That isn't an issue. But as we continue to look forward, we have to consider what we're going to do about this. We cannot continue down the path. Just imagine if you booked a wedding and then the week of the wedding they told you, oh, by the way, we have no staff for your wedding. It's not going to go over so well. We don't want to cause that. The other problem is the amount of money it costs us to do business is raised. And I can tell you, no one likes higher prices. Nobody. But I would also remind people, there's probably nothing you're doing these days that isn't costing you significantly more than it did 2 years ago. Gas, anything you purchase, any kind of service, go to a restaurant, anything at all. And the reality is we're a school district. Our facilities were not put here to rent. That has not the purpose. However, we want to be a community partner. And we don't want to not do that. So we are looking for ways to manage that. Unfortunately, that could mean we can't accept all the reservations that come our way. And it also means the price is probably higher. And while we don't want to charge more, we can't lose money by having people use our space. It's just not something we can do. So just understand that's coming down the pike. We did meet a facilities committee on this and gave kind of more of the detail on that. But we're working as we can. We have plans. David and Brian Redfield, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, are working tirelessly to do as much as we can to support our community, to work with them on their needs, and we're trying. So just understand that. As a board, I can tell you this gets people upset. So I'm just giving you advance warning. We've been called names. We get yelled at, mostly David. And people are just not happy when you say no. No one likes no. And no one likes when it's more money. We received an email today. Why is it so much? Because that's the cost of doing business. Not because we're trying to get one over. We're not a for-profit agency. We get no more money. We don't do that. But our costs are up. And it's hard to find our own people to do these jobs on the weekends. If you remember last year, all of our buildings and grounds guys, a lot of our building and grounds guys and mechanics, they were driving buses. I know we have Vanessa's in the how many days, Vanessa, did Clyde drive?
Monday through Friday.
That's pretty much all of them. And then on a snow day, what does Clyde do?
Plows and shovels, salt.
There's only so much these awesome guys can do, and guys and women can do. It's just we can't keep taxing people. Just can't do it. And last year, the Buildings and Grounds Department, saved us with their driving buses every day. And while we're looking at very good news today, we did have a meeting with our bus partner in busing our kids, and they already provided us the name of each driver for all of our 33 routes. Last year, we were down double digits every day. And are we fully staffed or almost fully staffed, Kim? So we're fully staffed. They're fully staffed. Now, if nothing happens between now and then, we're in good shape. So yeah, everybody knock. It's good.
Multiple knocks.
So maybe Clyde will get a break Vanessa this time around. We'll see. Then he'll complain if he does that. He likes driving. He does. He does. I know he does. For everyone to know, student placement information, it's going out. It goes out in the way it goes out. Kindergarten is going to be a little late, as we shared already. But unit assignments went out. Elementary homework assignments were made available on August 23rd. So it's all happening, and of course, if you remember, if you have kids or you remember having kids in the district, placement is a big deal. And if you don't get the placement you hope for, or with certain people get a little, it's challenging. And we get that, and we try to work with our families. So right now, that's something the buildings do, and they do a great job with it, and really not too many issues come out of it, but it's still a trying time for families and kids. So we do that. I shared with you, I'm going to give you a quick update on preschool. So it is very possible that Friday of next week, we will find out if we receive preschool. To remind you of what this would mean, and Ray works in North Brunswick where they already have this happening there. What it means is our families will have access to full-day free preschool. That's amazing. It's the single most incredible thing we can do for our families. We don't know if we're going to get it. We've filled out our application. We've met with the state, and we are feeling good, but we don't know what's going to happen. We've posted 5 preschool positions. We've posted 5 preschool aide positions. We've posted a master preschool teacher / instructional support teacher. And if that happens, we're ready to go into action. We are ready to move and get this going as fast as humanly possible. If it does happen, what we spend the next year doing is planning how to grow it. And that'll be the next big push. But first push, let's get this open. Well, let's get awarded the grant first, and then let's get it open. And then from there, I've been speaking to multiple districts that have this already, and they're all very open to partnering and helping us get through it. They've been through some of the bumps and bruises already. Today, we got some job descriptions we needed from a local district in the county, and anything else we need, I feel we have good partners to go with that. And if we do get the money, we'll be assigned a liaison from the state, and that person will also be able to help us through the process and the crazy timeline we'll be under. But in the end, we're hoping this works out. Kind of excited. Gave you that. Some dates so you have them on your calendar for the family. September 28th is back to school night for the high school. 29th, grade 6. October 6th, grade 7 and 8. And October 3rd of the elementary schools. And that's back to school nights. Sorry?
What was high school?
The high school is the 28th. And our next meeting is September 8th, and we're going to have some special invitees on September 8th. We're bringing in all of our newly hired administrators that are not here tonight. I'll say that. So we have five administrators that we have hired in the last few months, and they're going to be coming by to meet you. And Raj, I'll try and bring you a special guest as well. So we will hopefully have 6 or maybe even 7 people to come out and meet everybody. So before I finish, I want you to meet someone that is on your agenda for approval. Before? Okay, hold for that. Go.
I just have 2 questions. Under the shared services, is it possible, since we have neighboring communities, to check with the other school districts to see if we could look at shared services with the janitorial staff, the custodial staff, say for North Brunswick, Cranberry, Jamesburg, where these custodials might want to work on a weekend? Is it possible to talk to these districts to see if we could share them or pay them? I don't know, it would have to be a contract, I'm sure, but especially with your smaller districts like Cranberry and Jamesburg, they may have individuals that want to work on weekends, just as an idea.
We can look at anything, but we have to be able to make sure that people know how we operate.
Correct.
And once they come in, it's not as easy as just saying, hey, do you want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
However, with that said, never know.
You never know, okay. And then the other thing is under preschool, is there an age cap on preschool? Meaning if a family does not want to send their child to kindergarten at 5 years old, they want to go at 6 years old. Do you know now? You may not know now, but
No, I would
is
know this answer.
okay, can they go if they're 5 years old?
The preschool, no.
No, okay.
It's 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Just 3 and 4. Okay, thank
They
you.
have to turn 3 or turn 4 by a period of time.
You're right, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so, anything else? All right, then, I'd like to invite a lovely lady, Dr. Evelyn Mammon, to come up to the microphone on your agenda after a thorough, she might call it brutal, interview process. of starting with 70 candidates, getting that down to eventually 9 candidates, getting that down to 3 candidates, getting that down to 2 candidates, and then finally, after reference checks, and I think we found out everything there was to find out about this person.
You sure did.
I am recommending to the board tonight for approval our new Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Dr. Evelyn Mammon, and she has come down from her current district where she is an Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, but of course, you can come here now.
Yes, I'm here.
So, Dr. Mammon, welcome, and we just want to give you the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Fetter. Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm elated at the work that we will do, and I look forward to working on behalf of the children of South Brunswick. And I just can't wait to get started.
Evelyn gets giddy.
Not nice.
And the energy is kind of infectious. And I'd say, you know, we fell in love with what she was bringing to the table, her knowledge, and the fact that she's been doing the job for 4 years. And before that, she was in New Brunswick. Now she's in, I'm not going to announce the district, but she's currently in a district that is a very affluent district in the state of New Jersey, where she's been for 4 years. Her qualifications, her ability to withstand our grueling process.
Grueling process.
We're not easy on candidates. And she came out shining. And Kim and Suzanne were both part of that process to the end, along with Blair Eisman, as well as a large group of administrators. David was involved in the process. And I couldn't be happier to be able to presenting Dr. Mammon to this board and this community, and looking forward to many years of just incredible work.
Thank you. The honor is mine. I am so excited. I don't want to get giddy, so I'm just going to go sit. Thank you.
And with that, that ends my report for tonight.
Thank you for that very thorough report, very informative. We thank you for that. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to you for another presentation involving the LEA Plan for Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Service. In your hands, Mr. Fetter.
So this is going to be a relatively quick one. As of right now, the basic issue is I'm not telling you too much tonight, but I have to do this report. The reason I'm not telling you anything yet, well, I'm going to tell you some stuff, is we have yet to receive anything. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Anything from the Department of Health, the Department of Education. Let me repeat that. Anything about starting this new year, except for a document that they want us to complete, telling them everything. That's what we've received. So I actually reached out to our county to find out what some people are doing with certain issues. So let me just walk through this. One of the reasons I don't want to share too much right now about our plans, now we have plans, don't get me wrong, we're ready, is I'm concerned about doing what happened many times over the last 2+ years, which is we say one thing and then have to revert, revise, change, flip, because of new information that comes our way. The reality is nothing I say today is going to change anything that's going to happen on the 6th of September. So we are waiting till Friday, September 2nd, before we will be sending out anything. I sent that communication out to the school district today, the staff, so they know, and we'll be sending out a communication fully demonstrating what we're doing related to COVID, starting, I'll send that out on Friday. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was really hoping we weren't going to be sending anything out on COVID, and hoping we weren't really talking about COVID, and we were just going to start the school year and go. However, when we received the extensive planning document we had to submit, and you look at the topics we have to fill in, it's clear we are still responsible for certain things to the state, and then of course we're responsible for health-related matters to our community. So the things I've written here are just where we are right now. We are currently at high, which is orange. There are 4 levels. The next level is red, but we are at high for orange at this time. Yet, I want to remind you, because we've been out of the loop for a little while, our region is not South Brunswick. Our region is not Middlesex County. Our region is Monmouth County, Ocean County, Middlesex County, and Union County. Now, the numbers we have about where we are as a district, South Brunswick, does not represent orange at all. But that is where we are, and as a region, that's how they use it. So I'm just letting you know we're at high right now. The next one is what I wrote at the top on the 3rd bullet. Final guidance is coming next week. I will say that one thing we are doing is a cautionary approach to large events. We are making sure we don't do unnecessary things that could cause the spread. That's just smart thinking. And nothing's going to change the last bullet, no matter what the state says. If you're sick, stay home. Period. That's that. The updated COVID guidelines, the FAQ we have been using is kind of not going to be needed anymore, but you are going to get updated guidelines that we will be publishing on that Friday. The biggest question I expect families would have will relate to, will they get a remote virtual link if their student is with COVID and home? I will say that right now I do not know that answer. That is one answer we are waiting for direction on. So that's a very disruptive process in the school district. Yet I understand the point is without it, kids that are home due to being quarantined feel they need something, and we don't want to deprive kids of education. So that is the one that I know is probably the most challenging for us, but also the most desired for the community. So we're waiting on that one, but next Friday, all answers related to all questions about COVID will be part of what we give out on Friday to the community and to the staff. With that said, that is all I have for you tonight, but as part of the state-mandated LEA plan, it is now time for public comment on this topic only. So I would just ask, does anyone have any public comment related to what we just shared about, or any questions related to health and safety? All right. Any board questions? All right. Thank you. And my report.
Thank you for that very informative report, Mr. Fetter. At this time, we're going to move on to public comments on agenda items only. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Complete copies of the rules that govern this portion of the meeting are available to the public at the back of the room, or you can obtain an advanced copy by contacting the board office during regular business hours. We reserve the right to limit each speaker to no more than 3 minutes. It is our plan to listen to each member of the public. We will note all questions and comments made. Once all questions and comments from all members of the public are made, the Board of Education will respond, if necessary, to questions or comments in the most timely and efficient manner available. Please consider not repeating the comments and questions made by other members of the public. We ask that you state your name, place of residence, or your group affiliation. Mr. Pawlowski, are there any registered speakers?
We do not have any registered speakers at this time.
And does anyone wish to comment? Any member of the public that's here? On agenda items only. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next stage of the meeting, which is the consent agenda review and walkthrough. Over to you, Mr. Pulowski.
So our consent agenda for this evening is pretty extensive. We've had, just to buzz through, I gave a pretty thorough update with regards to all of the motions that you'll see on your agenda tonight. We have our typical financial reports. We have some donations that were made to the district, the Pang Foundation for Indian Fields, and the Indian Fields PTO also made a donation to the district for some playground improvements. Approving some outstanding checks. You'll see some transportation bids and some awards for some transportation. You'll see the records management system. We use FileBank. FileBank has done an amazing job with us this year. Safe to say we will not get near that not to exceed. Disposal of district property. We've worked for the past couple of years working to do a centralized print service. One of the requirements, or one of the end-alls from that project, is the collection and disposal of a lot of printers throughout the district that have all seen their useful life. So you'll see that's the sale of district property, motion 110, sale and disposal. Electrical services contract. We had an emergency this year with electricians in our district employees who are out with COVID, and we have 2 positions that are open. We need to hire some services to get us through the year. Motions 112 through 119 are simply standard operating procedure motions. You should have seen that in your update with just plans, curriculum, alternate educations, development plans. We have extension of professional services for our special education services. We also have some out-of-district placements, tuition students. I tried to explain Chapter 192, 193 in your update. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Federal, state funds that are provided for non-public schools in the state of New Jersey that are in our township. Travel-related expenses, harassment, intimidation, bullying reports, student field trips. We have a memorandum of agreement with our head custodial group. And to wrap up our review, you'll see we revised our school calendar, and we also had a toilet facilities motion that was added at the last moment for the Department of Education. Middlesex County, every year they have to approve our pre-kindergarten and kindergarten classrooms for toileting. We wanted to hold off on that until we were able to identify classrooms with regards to our preschool grant that we're looking for with the Department of Ed. And then you have your personnel. With that, should conclude my review of the consent agenda in a 10-minute or 5 minutes or less. Very good.
Much quicker than I was.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pulowski. At this time, we're moving on to old business, which there seems to be none at this time. So we'll move on to new business. Is there anyone that has, yes?
I want to put something on the agenda for September 8th. You've all seen my emails go back and forth regarding the possibility of doing a retreat on a one-subject issue that I personally believe is something that we don't really need to address. And the fact that myself, Ray, and Deepa can't make it, and I've had discussions with other board members that they would prefer not to come. So it's something that we need to get on the 8th, since the retreat is the following Monday. So I'd like to make a motion to put it on for new business for the 8th. The motion would be for discussion whether to have a retreat on September 12th or postpone it to a normal time, like in January when new board members come on, that type of thing.
So just, Barry?
Yes.
To put an item on the agenda does not require a motion. If the
Oh, okay.
If the idea is just to put the topic down as old business
Yes.
for the 8th,
Yes.
All that was required to do that is for you to forward that request, which we can accept today as that forwarding.
Okay.
Request to myself and the board president. While not in attendance, this is a videotaped meeting. I would assume members would watch so they can
Right.
approve of minutes
Okay.
from the meeting when it's appointed. So there's no
Good.
motion needed for that.
Okay, that's fine.
I have a question, though. Maybe you can answer it. If on the 8th, the decision is to not hold the meeting, what is the time frame for canceling for the public? Is there any time frame for 48 hours? And if it is it calendar, business days or?
There's no time frame.
There's no time frame for
In
that?
other
Okay,
words, you'd be able on the 8th,
okay,
if the board does decide to cancel the meeting, even though it will have already been advertised,
yep,
you would simply cancel the meeting
Okay.
officially, and that does not require
Great.
any other doing.
thank you.
Would it require a roll call to do that, or just
To
yea or
cancel,
nay? Right, to
it would
cancel.
become at that point, you might make a motion to
Take a vote.
cancel. The motion would have to be to cancel, not to decide to cancel. It'd be a motion to cancel September 12th board retreat. At that point, you'd need a second and a discussion at that point. If there's discussion, if there's no discussion, you would simply probably do, I don't think you need a roll call. You could probably just do a yay, nay. But if you wanted a roll call, then we would just do a roll call vote, and that would be that.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Butler.
Yep. Thanks, Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Nathanson. Is there any other comments? Seeing none, we're going to move on to action items. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda of August 25th, 2022.
I'll move it,
Moved by Mr. Nathanson, seconded by
Mrs. Rogers.
Mrs. Rogers. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rajakrishnan.
Yes.
Mr. Ray Keener.
Yes, but I abstained from item 2.1F.
What is 2.1F? Hold on, please. What is 2.1F?
2.1F.
We're approving the payout of Mr. Keener's spouse's sick days.
Can I ask, is there any issue? You have 4 yeses, or if you get 4 yeses, you have only 4. Is it a majority of today, or is it a majority of the board for the motion to pass?
Today.
It's of today.
Can't do it.
Well,
No, it's a
it is what it
majority.
is. I'm just asking so that we're just aware of the situation.
Yep,
Okay, Dave, just keep that in mind.
yep, we'll move forward.
Yeah.
Just that part of
I'll
it,
see what I can. Mr. Mike Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers?
Yes,
Mr. Joseph School, no, he's absent. Mr. Barry Nathanson?
Yes,
Motion carries, questionable 2.1F.
Right. So again, in other words, all of the motions carry, which means, Dr. Mammon, you are now the Assistant Superintendent of South Brunswick. So Dr. Mammon is Assistant Superintendent of CNI, and great to have you aboard officially now. And that means you start tomorrow. No, I tried. Dr. Mammon will start on October 24th officially because she has to provide notice to her district, statutory 60 days, I believe, and that puts us to October 24th. But that doesn't, there's no statutory that says I can't bug her for the next 2 months. So. What? You never know. You never know. All right, welcome.
Okay, you said motion carried, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so now we're over to board committee and liaison reports. Mr. Nathanson.
yes. We had a operations meeting on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I was the only member that was in state to attend. And Brian Redfield was there. David and Scott were there. We discussed several topics. Some Scott and David brought up this evening. We spoke about we broke it down into different areas. So operations was summer projects update, HVAC at North and South, the health center, and school openings. We discussed the HVAC project in North and South and the unfortunate supply chain issues. The district is in contact with the contractor and devising a plan to move the remainder of the project to next summer, as it cannot be accomplished during this school year. So they ended up being able to only, how many air conditions was it, David?
Well, we had 40 classroom cassettes. We had 40 classroom cassettes that were touched in some way or another this summer. But then the remainder of the project at South and at North were a combination of rooftop units. It was extensive work, but it was touching the gym at South, along with a whole bunch of classrooms and more work at North. More work at North, not just that was completed this summer.
So the idea is that we used whatever amount of units they had that were new, we put them in.
Correct.
And we re-put everything else back in. And right now, everything's working, you know. So we'll keep
Everything's up, functional, working. The
Right.
plan devised now is to store the equipment at North in the old auto shop and be prepared for a June start next summer.
Thank you. The next thing we spoke about was the health center. I don't know if any of you had the chance to peek in. It's pretty much finished. Again, another supply chain issue, which was the electrical transformer that pushes it back to September 8th for delivery. And we can't get a C of O until this is in. So it's pushed back all the inspections that we need to happen also. So we're talking about hopefully in the beginning of September that, you know, we should be pretty good. As of now, the project time limit is, you know, they're going ahead with whatever they have to do, and that would be the only hold up, if there's a hold up. But right now, we're pretty much current on the delivery date. So. Then we spoke about the school openings. All schools are ready for the big opening. All building systems are functioning. Classrooms look amazing. And buildings overall are in great shape. We need to recognize that our custodial and maintenance grounds crews, for their efforts, they're doing a hell of a job, especially based on what Scott said that and what Kim said, we're down 10 people, so we're doing an amazing job minus the 10 people. And Brian Redfield and his team are knocking the ball out of the park too. So, then we spoke about facilities, which Scott also brought up, which is Facilitron. There are several, now that COVID's over, there are several groups that want to come back after the 3 years or more. Some of them are more. And like Scott said, that, you know, we just have to get them to understand that they're going to be paying more because we have to pay more. We can't just, you know, the days of being able to give it away is done, okay? Things are too expensive, and especially labor. So, you know, right now, we continue to work with the Township Recreation Department and such, anyone that's tied to that. There's some groups that have already, like Scott said, that are doing some big organizations are doing some big festivals that we kind of set up already. But a lot of these places don't understand that they're going to have to be, in the waiting room, basically. So that's what we're looking at. So at this time, we're not able to staff some of our facility requests due to the fact of the staff. At that point, it was 13, so we must have filled 3 slots. Our staff is being taxed just to keep our schools open and covering vacant shifts. Since we have 10 less, the other people have to cover those shifts. So it's become a problem. And then if you add weekends or evenings or the time slots they're looking for, it's becoming difficult. So we're going to continue talking about that and how it affects facilities. The final thing is we went into finance. And again, David spoke about it, and this is the good part of my report, because David and his team and Scott and everyone are doing a fantastic job locating money. If it's FEMA, the FEMA money is based on COVID and pandemic, that we can reach out and grab some money from that still. The preschool grant could be an amazing situation for us. It means it should mean a decent profit for us, and going forward, it's going to be something that we can continue for the district. There is stabilization aid, and that's for the S2 districts. We're going to continue to apply for that. We have some of our district leadership out of Trenton that's willing to help us push for the stabilization aid. So, and based on what Scott said, last year there was very few districts that applied for it, and they got big money. So we don't know how many people are going to apply for it now and what kind of money we're talking about, but it's a good thing. So that is it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Nathanson. Anyone else have a report? Mrs. Rogers?
Curriculum, but before I have one quick question. We had made a change of the Facilities Committee just recently, and prior to that, we had talked about potential contingency plan with I can't remember this company's name, to come in and provide air conditioners if there was a unit. We don't see that need now because we're back up and running. All right, I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
The other thing to note for all board members,
I know.
everything from last year and this year as far as minutes for the facility committee is now on the portal. So you could see all the meetings from last year and this year.
Okay, curriculum committee. We originally had a meeting scheduled for the 25th of August, Thursday, but unfortunately due to vacations we had to reschedule. It is now rescheduled, and I just sent Raj a note to you as well. We are scheduled to have the next committee meeting on the 8th of September. However, I want to defer to Mr. Fetter for a moment. Should we hold that committee and await Dr. Mahmood's, should we hold it? You want to think about it? We could discuss it, but I just want to put that out there.
I'll talk to Dr. Mammon.
Okay, and we can make that decision.
It might be an idea. I can check with Dr. Mammon about her schedule and availability to see if there will be a time between now and October where getting up to speed and would be helpful.
Okay.
Prior to an actual meeting, but a meeting used as a transition type meeting.
Okay, so I will defer to you. We will talk offline and we'll schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Rogers. Any other reports? Mr. Keener?
Thank you, sir. Yes, the HR committee actually met last evening, August 24th. In attendance were Superintendent Fetter, Ms. Kimberly Malloy White, the Assistant Superintendent for HR, myself, and Mr. Mitchell, the Board Vice President. We discussed a lot of things that you had on your agenda tonight as far as assistant principals and things that are going on there, things that you voted on. We discussed, and Mr. Federer was as excited last night, Dr. Mann, as he was tonight, hoping that this would pass this evening. An interesting thing, Ms. Malloy White has been extremely, I want to say busy, but I don't think that covers it. Over the past month, her team has filled 38 certified positions, 26 of which were teachers, 6 replacement teachers, 1 per diem replacement teacher, 2 school psychologists, 1 student assistant counselor, 1 speech specialist, and 1 school media specialist. And that was just the start. In addition, she's hired 2 new secretaries, 13 paraprofessionals, 5 bus drivers, 1 cleaner, 1 maintenance for grounds. Plus, she did make it home a couple nights to cook dinner for her family. So she's been extremely busy, her and her.
I'm opposed to that. I don't think she should be going home so often. Once maybe it would be fine, but twice is
Gotta buy you an oven in the office.
So please extend our thanks to your team and you for all your diligence in getting all these positions, and I know you've got more to go. With regards to shared services, we are still working out some logistics and details to come up with an agreement for our tennis courts with the township. Hopefully we'll have more on this for the next board meeting. And right now our next committee meeting is scheduled for September the 14th. More
Mr.
to
Keeney,
follow.
can I just jump in for a sec?
Sure.
I just want to share that Ray has been working on a model that we would be able to use, hopefully to open up the tennis courts for our public. That's been a desire since I've been here. I know that's been something being asked of the board. I want to thank Ray for, taking lead on this and putting this back on our radar. And I know working on the shared service committee with the town, I know they'd be very appreciative. So Ray had some ideas. We're going to bring them up again, I believe, next meeting.
Sure.
And again, just thanks for leadership on that, Ray.
Thank you.
You done? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your reports. And certainly, this is the first time we're venturing onto a new structure, committee structure. So I think it's going to work. It's just one day at a time, working out whatever kinks there may be, and just working together is the most important thing. That's what this is all about. So thank you once again. And at this time, we're going to go over to public comment, the second opportunity for public comment on any topic. Are there any registrations?
No registrations for this evening.
No registrations. Does anyone in the audience want to speak? Yes, please come to the mic and state your name, where you live, your affiliation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pat Stanley, 7 Hudson Court, Franklin Park, Franklin, New Jersey. I am a candidate for Franklin Township Board of Education, and it would be for my 3rd term. But I'm also working with candidates throughout the state of New Jersey. And one of the things that I would like to bring to your attention that I think is very, very serious, and something that is the first thing when I'm talking to people who are running for the board for the first time is policy number 5756. The wording in this policy is questionable from the standpoint of understanding rights of parents in the realm of education per the United States Constitution. Specifically, as stated in the student-centered approach section of this policy, the school district shall accept a student's asserted gender identity. Parental consent is not required. And I checked, and this exact wording is in the South Brunswick policy as well. And a student need not meet any threshold diagnosis or treatment requirements to have his or her gender identity recognized or respected by the school district or school staff members. And further on, the principal or designee should also discuss with the student and any other individuals at the student's request the risks associated with the student's transgender status being inadvertently disclosed. Indeed, throughout the text, there seem to be many actions that can be taken regarding the student which completely preclude any parental involvement. One could discern from the wording that the child could designate any other individuals to have input on the child's care that may not even be known to the parent. Considering the above, this policy, we are deeming young people in preteen and teen years to be able to make major life-altering decisions without the guidance and consent of the people who have played the largest role in their well-being throughout their lives. And I was totally unaware when I was working with this policy. Of course, you are fully aware that it came through in 2017, and it came through again in 2019. And as far as I could see when I read the minutes, all the people on the board voted for this policy. I was totally unaware of the extended health issues that exist, and as I researched the topic, the effects on heart health and the use of drugs as puberty blockers, which cause many people concerned with this issue to identify questionable medical practices. I would like to mention and comment very brief on a brief discussion that I had with one of the members of our board regarding this policy at the end of one of our meetings. Apparently, the policy committee was told by the agency suggesting adoption of this policy that if a child expresses their feelings, being of the opposite sex,
Excuse me, ma'am.
that the school could act on the statement without parental
Excuse me.
consent and division of family
Excuse me,
services.
ma'am, you have a 3-minute time limit for public
Let me
comment.
just say
Your
this
time's
one
up.
thing then.
Okay.
Adopting this policy, regardless of legal advice to the contrary, places South Brunswick Township squarely in the arena of constitutional conflict.
Thank you for your
I
comment.
think you should consider it seriously, dropping this policy. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening. My name is Julie Ferrara. I'm a resident of Kendall Park, South Brunswick, also a substitute teacher for South Brunswick Township Schools. Tonight I would like to address the district's opt-out policy for the new sex/health ed curriculum. Have you made a definitive ruling on your opt-out policy?
This evening's for public comment. It's not public discussion.
Okay,
If you have comment.
then I'll go on.
Thank you.
There are many parents across the state of New Jersey who are concerned about their rights to opt their children out of portions of this highly controversial curriculum. I'm seeking to determine what South Brunswick School District has in place regarding the opt-out policy. I realize the board members have done their work on curriculum guidelines for the upcoming year, and I thank those who have worked tirelessly on the committee to give our students reasonable learning guidelines. I pray the guidelines include some guidance for parents as to how to adequately opt their children out of portions that do not align with their moral values. According to the New Jersey statutes, a student must be allowed to opt out of a portion of the health curriculum and learn about other topics like sports injuries, nutrition, or first aid. Did you also know that New Jersey's sex ed standards correlate with the standards of the national sex ed standards, which are written by SECUS, which is an organization whose acronym stands for Sex Ed for Social Change? SECUS is also an organization which seeks to have the law changed to do away with abstinence training, which is part of the New Jersey law and mandated to be taught as part of the sex ed curriculum. I may appear before you here as a Lone Ranger and bear the brunt of remarks of those who find me a nuisance, but I assure you there is a counter-movement fast at work to determine legally if the rights of parents are being violated. Does this district want to be a sitting duck for such activists? I would like to know right now what your district's policy is and how one can obtain written copies of the opt-out forms so parents may be able to obtain them in a timely manner. I'm also submitting a resolution from the County Commissioners of Warren County, New Jersey, which is a creation of a parental Bill of Rights. If the county commissioners see this as a pertinent issue, should we not, as a district, plainly state our policy of parental rights so to show that we do not need our county-level officials to determine said rights of parents? I'm also submitting to you New Jersey statutes regarding education and parental rights. I will be looking for discussion in future policy standards to appear on the district website so parents can plainly see policy regarding the sex ed curriculum. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to make a comment at this time?
If you need copies, I can.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to make comment? Seeing that there's no one, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, Mr. Mitchell, real quick.
Okay, thank you.
I want to take a moment and double down on Dr. Mammon tonight. I'd like to do a motion with a roll call vote for her position specifically, only because she was supposed to have been walked into an agenda tonight. Okay. She didn't have that motion on the agenda, so we needed to walk her in, which means that at one point during the meeting, we would have had to create a motion or ask for a motion for her position, to appoint her to the position, a second, and then a roll call vote. Okay. So, Mr. President or Vice President, if I could have you call for that motion, okay, a second, and then we can have a roll call vote and get her solidified twice in one evening for the position of Assistant Superintendent. I'd appreciate that.
That works for me. May I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Rogers. I need a second. Second by Mr. Nathanson. Roll call, please, Mr. Pawlowski.
Roll call vote to appoint Dr. Mammon to the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction for South Brunswick Township School District. Mr. Roger Krishna.
Yes.
Mr. Ray Keener.
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell.
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Barry Nathanson.
Yes.
Okay. It's official twice over. We can celebrate all over again. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, once again, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Keener. Seconded by Mrs. Rogers. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Any question? No. Good, no question. We are closed. This meeting is officially adjourned. And good night, South Brunswick. Everyone enjoy the rest of your summer. We are adjourned.